Hey friends, Sleepy here, and welcome to another episode of my weekly playlist series. We've made it to another Friday, which means it's time for me to share with you guys the games I've been playing during the week, let you guys know my thoughts and opinions on these games, but I'd also like to hear about your guys' thoughts, your opinions, if you've played them or not. If you guys have any recommendations on games you think I should check out, let me know, as I really do appreciate all of the suggestions that you guys have given me in this series over the past 2 years. I've been able to check out some really awesome games, and I've got a nice growing list of games to either play if I already have them, or games to pick up in the future to add to my collection. I'd also like to hear about the games you guys are playing as well, as it's really fun to sit here and discuss about the games we play, and you guys give me great ideas too, hearing about the games you're playing. And that was one of the big reasons why I had created this series, was to encourage people to play more games in their collection. And it's something that I've been working on the past 2 years, of playing more games in my collection, and I've been doing really well with that goal. So I've been having a blast with this series, and I know a lot of you have been enjoying it as well. Really appreciate all the support you guys have been showing this series. So this week I actually only have one game to share with you guys, as I had not done a whole lot of gaming this week, even though work wasn't the issue this week, as I'm finally not gonna have to keep working all this overtime. We finally got people hired in. It's just I have been incredibly worn out over the past 2 months of doing overtime and changing shifts and staying over, coming in early, that I just was so wore out this week that on my 2 days off I kind of just was pretty lazy and just slept in and all off and on, napping and stuff, spending time with my parents and my friends and my wife, and just relaxing. So I didn't spend much time gaming, but I did have one game though that I continued from last week that I actually beat, and that's what we're going to talk about today, and that was a Game of Thrones, the Telltale series game, which I really do enjoy these Telltale games, as these are 100% story focused games, and they are written really well, and I really do enjoy the gameplay. Now I know it's not for everyone, as these are kind of like point and click adventure and quick time and button prompt games, or like in the heat of battle or something, you got to push up to dodge a weapon, or left, or hit right trigger and R or A a bunch of times and hit X. And so there are quick time events in these games, which is basically what they are. Is this is more about telling the story, but you also get to have choices that you make in the game that can change the story a little bit. Obviously there's an overall narrative that you are not able to affect, but there are subtle things, like maybe you can just determine if a character lives or dies, who you side with, who you don't, which will then change the ending, because this game actually does have a variation of endings. There's 16 different ones that you can actually achieve, and I got one of the 16. But I really do love these Telltale games. I beat that Batman one, and now have beat the Game of Thrones one. And I'll read you guys a little bit from the back. So it says, so your story begins. Set in the world of HBO's award-winning TV series, this is the tale of House Forrester, a noble family loyal to the Starks of Winterfell. Caught up in the events surrounding the War of the Five Kings, they are thrown into a maelstrom of bloody warfare, revenge, and intrigue as they fight to survive. You play as different members of the Forrester household, interacting with characters from the TV series and locations including King's Landing and The Wall. Your decisions will change the story around you, so choose carefully, because when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. And so this one actually had 6 episodes total, where usually these Telltale games have 5 episodes, and these were much longer and more involved missions in these episodes than they were with the Batman one, because the Batman one game was kind of short, where this one took me about 8 or 9 hours to actually get through all 6 of the episodes. And it was a pretty detailed story, and there was a lot of characters introduced and a lot of stuff going on, and you make a lot of choices. What I really liked is you got to interact with characters from the show, like Daenerys Stormborn. You got to interact with Lord Tyrion and Cersei Lannister. So there were actually characters from the TV show you got to interact with, and they actually got the actors from the TV series to voice their characters in the game, which I thought was awesome, hearing their voices in the game. So it was really cool. This game takes place from the end of Season 3 to Season 4, so if you have not watched the Game of Thrones TV series yet, and that's something you want to do, definitely don't play this game, as there are spoilers in this game that will spoil the story as far as what's happened in the series so far. I had already watched, the first 4 seasons of Game of Thrones. I'm actually working on Season 5 now, so for me, nothing was spoiled, because I had already watched the show. But I did want to warn people that, though, that if you haven't watched the series and that's something you plan to do, make sure you watch that first, then play this game. So you get to play as this family of foresters, which I'm pretty sure that they just created for this game. As I don't remember ever hearing about them in the TV series. I mean, they could have been maybe mentioned once or twice or something, but you get to play as these different characters and their link through the world. And it's really interesting as you have a different... you have these white hills which are enemies that you have to fight, and you just go through the various story. And I really enjoyed it because it is, like I said, a heavily story-focused game, and these are really fun games to play. I definitely recommend you guys check out these Telltale games, as they are just really fun. And there is a variety of genres, too, out there that they have made before the company obviously went belly up and closed up shop. But you got like Walking Dead, you have Guardians of the Galaxy, there's Game of Thrones, there was the Batman ones, I think even the Avengers might have had one. There's The Wolf Among Us, the Borderlands, like there's just a whole bunch of different games that the Telltale games had made in this series, and they're just really fun short stories that you go through, and they're kind of like, to me, they're like kind of like interactive novels. And like I said, there are some gameplay, and I know some people aren't into these games. You know, they play it and they say, yeah, it's not enough of me actually playing the game and enough freedom and control to it. But I really found myself sucked in, and, you know, I really wanted to beat it. And so that's what I did earlier this week, as I just plowed through the final 3 episodes for like 3 or 4 hours that night, and just went through and beat the story. And it just kept making me want to play more, because I wanted to find out what's going to happen to the characters, as the episodes always left you with like a cliffhanger, and then you would move on to the story would continue into the next episode. And I really enjoyed it. I do know they had originally had planned to release season 2 of this Game of Thrones, but because the company, you know, went belly up and closed up, we never got another one, which I would have really enjoyed seeing another one, as I really do like the Game of Thrones, and this game was really fun. And I like the fact that you got to play as multiple characters, where when I played the Batman game, you literally only played as Bruce Wayne and Batman. That was it. There was no other characters that you got to play as. Where this one, you know, I got to play as like 5 or 6 different characters in different areas of the world, and how their stories connected with each other and decisions they made could affect other characters. It was something that was really cool, and seeing how intricate that these games could definitely get. And it would have been really interesting if this studio could have stayed around and created more of these in the future with other franchises, maybe some bigger franchises and stuff, like a Dragon Age or a Diablo or something. You know, it could have been really cool to see what they could have done with stories in those kind of settings. But sadly, you know, it was kind of like too much of the same thing, and that's why the games kind of trailed off, as people kind of got tired of the same game over and over, just different story settings. But I can understand it, but I really did enjoy it. Highly recommend you guys check out these Telltale games. Definitely, if you're a fan of Game of Thrones, pick this one up, as I really enjoyed it, and it was really fun. I just love these heavily story-focused games. It really kept my attention and kept me wanting to play more and more of it. Definitely think you guys should check out. Normally, I would do a recap here, but since I only played the one game, definitely check out the Game of Thrones Telltale game if you're a fan of the series. And if you like these Telltale games, definitely check it out, as it's really fun, and definitely has more involved story than previous Telltale games, as I really enjoyed this. It also was really violent, bloody, and gory. There was a lot of killing and death and blood everywhere, and they did not hold back. So it really kept, that mature rating. I love that. A sex scene or two in the game, and just was awesome to how ultra violent the game was. I really, really enjoyed that part of the game. And I like the graphical style too, as it's kind of like a cel-shaded, cartoony type of graphics, but they really fit well with the story and setting. And the characters, the people they have for drawing these characters, they looked just like their characters. Like, they were drawn really well. The characters looked awesome. So I really did enjoy the story. Definitely think you guys should check out Game of Thrones Telltale series. But I'd love to hear about your guys' games that you're playing. I'd also like any recommendations you guys have for games you think I should check out. Just let me know, definitely. And let me know your guys' thoughts on these games. I want to thank you guys for watching. Take care. Have an amazing day. Sleepy will see ya next time.